Well, it was only a matter of time before President Trump launched a military strike on Venezuela. Well, it appears to have happened. This morning, Venezuelan leader Nicholas Maduro says they've captured CIA soldiers / mercenaries trying to carry out a false flag attack designed to spark a coup in that country, confirmed by a number of different news sources. But also, you might remember that just a few weeks ago, the New York Times even broadcast this to everybody. The Trump administration authorizes covert CIA action in Venezuela because, they love regime change operations. This is exactly what we expected to happen, and it's here. Meanwhile, the American media is fully on board with this and with regime change operations. Last night, CBS News, 60 Minutes, which is an extension of the CIA, of course, did a full report on Venezuela. And they even had this guy. This, of course, is James Story. He's an ex-U.S. ambassador, total regime change lover. So they got him on here to talk about how he really let the cat out of the bag. Now, we can't show you any 60 Minutes because they'll copyright strike us. They always do. But what basically he said, he admitted the real reason that we're going to war with Venezuela. Guess what? Newsflash, it has nothing to do with those narco boats at all. It has everything to do with what I reported this weekend, which is about oil. And he admitted, quote, Venezuela is sitting on top of the world's largest oil reserves, minerals that will fuel the 21st century economy. So, of course, we can't have Nicholas Maduro and Russia and China's influence in Venezuela at all. It needs to be the United States. CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou joins us now, who knows all about these regime change operations and has been telling the world about the CIA's nefarious operations. John, great to see you. Does this surprise you at all? I mean, when you're hearing from Nicholas Maduro that they've captured CIA mercenaries off of Trinidad and Tobago trying to carry out regime change operations, I'm sure this is like another day at the CIA, right?
Yeah, it's like, people got caught. What are you going to do? People get caught all the time. No, it didn't surprise me. The Trump administration, the Biden administration, and the first Trump administration before that have used mercenaries repeatedly in Venezuela. It's never well thought out. It's never well executed. And then we can't understand why the Venezuelans don't want to let go of all these regime change mercenaries that they catch coming up on shore. I will say, though, that you raised a moment ago a very important issue, and that's the issue of oil. Venezuela is sitting on an ocean of oil. It's very dirty oil. It has an extremely high sulfur content. And until about 10 years ago, the only refineries that could process that oil were in Texas. And so we didn't like the Venezuelans. They didn't like us. But we were the only ones that could refine that oil, so we maintained a relationship. Well, about 10 years ago, the Chinese began building a refinery in the Caribbean, and it can refine oil now. So I think that this regime change operation is not even really about Nicolas Maduro. We've worked with Maduro for a decade. It's really about trying to keep the Chinese out of Central and South America and the Caribbean.
Yeah, not to pat myself on the back, but I did a deep dive video on it this weekend, specifically talking about China's 25% interest in the oil that sits right off of Guyana. And of course, their lifeline right now is the amount of oil that they're getting from Venezuela. We don't like the Chinese and the Russians in our own backyard under the Monroe Doctrine, 1,600 miles away from Miami. So we get to say that this is all about narco-terrorist boats when it's really not. It's about, we want to control Venezuela. Let's stop lying to people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just come out and say it. Just say, look, we don't want the Chinese, so this is what we're going to do.
What do you mean not well thought out? Are we talking like Louvre heist type fly by the seat of our pants or what? Because John Bolton admitted in his book. Okay, so give me an example. Let's go in and try this.
Sure, if you're going to overthrow a government, you don't just send mercenaries in inflatable rafts to wash up on shore with their guns and say, okay, we're here to overthrow the government. There's a way to go about doing it. First of all, you have to attack the presidential palace, right? Bomb the presidential palace. At the same time, you have to take control of the methods of communication, the TV stations, the radio stations. You have to attack the power grid if you don't want the other side to communicate. You have to pacify the military. And then you have to physically take control of the major intersections in the capital city while your troops move on the presidential palace and the Ministry of Defense. Well, 16 bozos who used to be, in the Marines or Delta Force or whatever, and are working for Eric Prince now, they're not going to affect your coup. It's just not going to work out. This notion, and I sat in meetings with White House officials who would say, as soon as we cross that border, they're going to throw flowers at us. They're never going to throw flowers at us. They're going to shoot you for invading their country. It's just something that we don't understand. We fool ourselves. We trick ourselves into thinking that we are liberators who will be welcomed as heroes, and instead we're greeted as invaders and occupiers.
Right.
Can you talk about just some of the mechanics of, a CIA operation here? The New York Times blew the whistle on this a few weeks ago, saying that Trump has authorized these CIA takeover and regime change operations. We reported here on this show through a whistleblower, Jordan Godreau, who was tasked by the Trump administration to go in and lead a coup attempt back under his first term in 2016. The CIA got in the way, and his special forces teams, he was a Green Beret, they were killed. Like, the CIA got in the way of his regime change operation back during Trump's first term. So what exactly are they going to try to install? I know there's rumors out there they're going to try to install, the CIA wants basically a cartel light, like not as strong as Maduro, but they still get to funnel all of their phony and dark money through basically an alternative to Maduro, but he's not a saint at all.
Like a Zelensky government, right?
Yeah, like
in Venezuela.
Government. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
great
right.
point.
First, let me say that when this article appeared in the New York Times several weeks ago, quoting the president as saying that he had approved of a covert action program, it sent chills up my spine. There is literally nothing at the CIA that is more highly classified than a covert action program. Covert action is so highly classified that the covert action staff at the CIA doesn't even have a sign on their office door to identify who they are. So for the President of the United States to announce that he is ordering a covert action program to overthrow a government, unprecedented since the CIA was created. I don't know if he did it just to try to throw the Venezuelans off balance, or because he was so proud of himself he just couldn't keep it quiet. I don't understand the reason, but it was stunning to me, incredible that he would do such a thing. Number one. Number two, in that show Narcos on Netflix, just as the DEA is going to go in for the big arrest or the big kill, the CIA station chief steps in and just screws up the entire operation. Well, the reason that was in Narcos so frequently and in other TV shows and movies is because it happens in real life. The CIA always screws things up. So on the one hand, you have a group of mercenaries in 2017, probably working at the direction of the National Security Advisor. And then the CIA comes in and screws the whole thing up. People get killed. Others are arrested and then have to be swapped for Venezuelan prisoners. It's just a big mess. But again, this is a lack of coordination. It's a lack of planning. And frankly, I'd like to know who in the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel and who at the General Counsel's Office at the NSC approved of this operation. It's patently illegal to just go around overthrowing other governments because you don't like their politics. You can't do stuff like that. So I'm not surprised that what we've seen so far has just been one disaster after another.
I mean, at least they're doing it in full sight. It's not covert, because when Trump left office the first time, we had John Bolton writing in his book, like, yeah, we tried a coup in Venezuela. It didn't really work. At least now it's full out there and we can see it. They're not gaslighting us about it.
If you've been seriously injured, your case could be worth millions, and you should know exactly what your rights are. That's why I want to tell you about Morgan & Morgan. They're America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys working in all 50 states. And unlike a lot of firms that settle quickly, Morgan & Morgan doesn't take lowball offers from insurance companies. Just in the past few months, they won $12 million in Florida when the insurance company offered only $350,000. And in New York, they secured $6.8 million on a case where the offer was just $275,000. And the best part, it's absolutely free unless you win. Insurance companies try to pay out as little as possible. Morgan & Morgan fights to get you more if you become their client. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it right from your phone. It's that easy. You can visit forthepeople.com/redacted, or you can click the link in the description to get started.
Speaking of gaslighting governments, though, let's pivot to talking about Israel, because Israel addressed this idea of whether or not Israel runs the United States or vice versa. And this is sort of the most transparent way that we've ever seen the Israeli government address this. Prime Minister Netanyahu released this statement saying that it's basically not true. So if you say that Israel runs the U.S. government, that's the new anti-Semitism. Don't say it. I'm going to keep saying it. And he's also saying that the notion that he controls the U.S. government is a joke. The notion that the U.S. government controls Israel is ridiculous. He's saying they're basically going to do what they want to do. Now, why is he saying this now? He's signaling to us that he doesn't have to abide by the peace plan. He's going to do whatever the F he wants. And he's making it clear. Is there any other reason that he would do this? What do you make of this?
We shouldn't be surprised by this one iota. It's an Israeli policy, frankly, to negotiate ceasefires and then immediately violate them. It's just what they do. When they finally agreed to this most recent ceasefire, I said on my podcast, how many hours do you think it's going to be? Not days or weeks or months. How many hours is it going to be before the Israelis violate the ceasefire? And it was 48 hours. They did it after 48 hours, just 2 days. It's just what they do. When Benjamin Netanyahu says that nobody is going to tell him what to do, he means it. He means literally nobody is going to tell him what to do. That's why the Israel Times last week published a front page article saying that the reason Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio were in Jerusalem was to babysit. That was the word that they used. To babysit the Israeli government, because Benjamin Netanyahu will do whatever he wants. He will not take orders. Today, President Trump actually made a statement, made me laugh, in which he said that he runs the Israeli government and that Netanyahu will do as he's told. That tells me there's a split. That tells me that finally Donald Trump understands that Netanyahu uses him, manipulates him, and will do anything that Netanyahu wants to do, regardless of what is in the interests, the best interests of the United States.
Way to catch up.
I think I don't know if I said this to you before, but I have it on good authority right from the White House that President Trump was shocked to learn that like young Americans think that he is controlled by Benjamin Netanyahu. Like he had been so insulated from that awareness. How do you not know that that's what people say on X and social media, and all these people, young people, think that the White House is controlled by Benjamin Netanyahu? He was pissed to learn about that. I'm like, what kind of a bubble do you have to be in, Mr. Trump, to not realize that this is what people think, given the amount of money and the way that you sort of kowtow to any Benjamin Netanyahu comes to town, and 2 days later we're helping them bomb Iran.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this is exactly the perfect example of how Netanyahu uses Donald Trump. Trump actually said a couple of days after the bombing that he did Iran a favor by bombing, because Netanyahu told him, if you don't bomb Iran for us, we're going to bomb them using a nuclear weapon. So thank God that Donald Trump stepped in to bomb Iran. He actually saved Iranian lives by bombing. It's like, do you listen to yourself when you say things like this? You've obviously been played. Even, people 18 to 25 recognize that you've been played. And so it's time to finally establish an independent foreign policy. Tucker Carlson interviewed, kind of famously now, Senator Ted Cruz a month or two ago, and he really beat Cruz up over Cruz's oft-stated self-description as the most pro-Israel senator on Capitol Hill. Cruz said, AIPAC doesn't represent Israel. It represents American Jews. And Tucker said, well, what issue, name one issue, any issue, that AIPAC disagrees with Benjamin Netanyahu over? And Cruz said, well, I'm not going to get into an argument with you. I'm not going to get into this kind of a pissing match. Well, yeah, because you're making this up as you go along. AIPAC is the personal representative of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government in Washington, which is exactly why they should be registering as a foreign agent.
Now,
go ahead, sorry.
May I ask this? So with the midterms coming up, we're going to see Republicans rebranding themselves as a traditional form of MAGA, which means pro-America first, and starting to pretend that they did not represent Israel during its assault in Gaza, that they did not want Israel to bomb Iran. I've seen this makeover start to happen through Republicans such as Democrats. At the very least, they never had to pretend. A lot of them did say we promote Israel, but they didn't seem to want a war with Iran, at least. Now we're going to see this makeover of Representative Anna Paulina Luna. I've seen her start to sort of pretend that she cared more about America than Israel. Randy Fine is going to do that. It's going to be incumbent on us to remember that this is now a tactic to win re-election, and I'm not having it. What do you think?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Listen, if we're going to be America first, then by God, let's be America first. And let's recognize and understand that sometimes America's best interests are not the same as Israel's best interests. They're just simply not the same. And so we should put America first. That's what it's all about. But people like Ted Cruz, and it's not just Ted Cruz, it's a lot of members of both parties on Capitol Hill shouting about who the most pro-Israel is. Oh, I'm more pro-Israel than you. That's not a good thing. We don't want you, we don't elect you to represent the best interests of Israel. We elect you to represent the best interests of the United States and the American people. And I agree with you. We need to call them on it in this next election. Enough is enough.
John, we'll get you out of here on this, which is what happens now to the ceasefire. I mean, as you pointed out, and it's been hilarious to watch these like MAGA influencers on social media. They're saying, Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, ceasefire. I mean, I'm usually a glass half full kind of person. And on this show, we said, like you, I mean, how long until Israel violates the ceasefire? They will blame Hamas, of course. That's always their strategy. Always. They'll do it very quickly. But what is Trump's hand in this now? Like, where do things stand? Are we looking at a larger, broader war now with Lebanon? Like, where do we turn? And will we see a sustained peace at all?
In the near term, I think we should not expect a broader war with Lebanon, only because the Israelis have effectively wiped out Hezbollah. It's going to take Hezbollah at least another 6 months to begin reconstituting itself, probably closer to a year. The Israelis don't have to worry about Syria right now. They've taken a swath of the southwestern Syrian desert, but they don't have to worry about the Syrians posing a military threat to them. What the Israelis ought to be thinking about is if they're serious about expanding the Abraham Accords and establishing diplomatic relations with the government of Saudi Arabia, then by God, they have to give on Gaza. We hear all the time that the one-state solution is dead, the two-state solution is dead. Well, what about a three-state solution? First of all, there's going to have to be an independent Palestine. Whether it has a military or not, sure, can be open for negotiations. But the West Bank is going to have to be the center of an independent Palestine. What does that do for the Gaza Palestinians? There's got to be some sort of an agreement out there where Gaza can be administered by the United Nations or administered by the Saudi government or administered by the Egyptian government like it was before 1967, and to give the Gaza Palestinians some sort of a chance at economic development. Look at these photographs that you're showing right now. It's destroyed. For all intents and purposes, Gaza has ceased to exist as a functioning place. And so there's going to have to be some kind of bigger agreement here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John Kiriakou, joining us from Europe today.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to see you as always.
Check out his great show as well. John, always great to see you. Thank you for holding these empires accountable. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the work that you do. These are important conversations.